Hey everyone, I'm Dan from JazzComposersPresent.com, an online space where composers, musicians, and listeners come together to celebrate the music we love. I'm joined today by Jim McNeely, pianist, composer, arranger, chief conductor of the Frankfurt Radio HR Big Band, and composer in residence with the Vanguard Jazz Orchestra. Jim is here to show us how to write dynamic backgrounds.
Thank you, Dan. Yes, today I'd like to talk about dynamic backgrounds. In fact, I don't like to use the word background very much since that implies that the material stays in the background. I prefer to think of composing ensemble textures that develop a certain relationship with the soloist. That relationship can be supportive or urging or friendly, challenging, or even combative. It can be constructed not only with vertical voicings, but horizontal linear motion. And that relationship can be static, relatively unchanging, or it can be dynamic. It grows and ebbs in order to both inspire the soloist and further the storyline of the piece. The soloist and ensemble merge into one complete texture. Here are a few examples from some of my writing. First up, we have my arrangement of Jimi Hendrix's Up from the Skies. It has a trombone solo here played by Jason Jackson. The ensemble material goes through several stages. First, there's a combination of saxes and trombones to provide supportive harmonic information. Then if we flip the page, we see on the next page, the saxes change to short punches, so they're starting to urge them on a little bit. Then the rhythm section takes over just by themselves. Don't forget that the accompaniment doesn't always have to involve horns. It can involve specific material that you've written for the rhythm section. Then the trombones pick up the pattern. And then finally, the whole band is playing soft, long chords to spur Jason into his final phrases. I usually like to end the ensemble texture a few bars before the end of the solo. This allows the soloist to get in their final word, and it also leaves room for the ensemble to come in full blast after the solo like they do here. So let's take a listen. Now we're going to go to another piece I wrote earlier for the Vanguard Jazz Orchestra. This is Absolution and features a tenor saxophone solo by Rich Perry. The brass enter rather sparsely, and that's the flugels and trombones. And then the saxes enter in a call and response with the trombones. Everything gets lengthened out. Finally, the full band interrupts Rich, challenging him, and then it leaves him to finish over a pedal very quietly that leads into the next section. So let's take a listen to this. Now we go to Black Snow. I wrote this for the Frankfurt Radio Big Band. This features Martin Auer on the flugelhorn. First, one line enters, and then quite quickly a second line comes in, and then if we turn the page, a third line comes in. So we've got three lines just going on under the soloist. And they're providing, the way I see it, they're providing a cushion of harmonic material. Gradually, as it keeps going, they grow into full harmony to spur the soloist again into the final phrase. And then they die out, leaving the soloist alone for the last couple of measures. So let's take a listen to that. Now, I'd like to go to the Mel Lewis and the Jazz Orchestra recording of Off the Cuff. This features Joe Lovano on the soprano saxophone. This is a static middle register pedal that starts in the trombones. They're playing the same rhythm in the beginning, and then I start to separate them rhythmically. And finally, they break into a two-line texture. And then we keep moving through the background, and finally the trumpets enter, and they're in a rhythmic unison. They're playing different rhythms, but the pitch is the same. And the trombones revert to more typical rhythmic voicings. And then the last two measures, the full ensemble builds, which leads us across the double bar line. I think that's very important. The texture leads us across the big joint in the arrangement into the send-off for the alto saxophone. And in this way, the end of the ensemble texture behind the solo becomes the beginning of the send-off ensemble. So this is Off the Cuff. Here are a few points to remember about the ensemble in a solo section. First of all, think of the relationship of the soloist and the ensemble. How are they getting along together? Try to think of the ensemble as being dynamic, using both rhythm and harmony to create, it's like a living, changing texture. It's not just the same thing all the time. Think of where you are trying to get the soloist to go. We're being a little manipulative here, and we're creating something that will hopefully get the soloist to play in a certain way. Vary the texture between horizontal and vertical. It's not all about voicings. Sometimes you can just do horizontal things. Sometimes you can use both. Writing something specific for the rhythm section provides a welcome contrast to horn textures. And then a couple of things from basic arranging 101. The ensemble texture probably starts best with instruments from the other family for contrast, brass behind a sax solo, saxes behind a brass solo. This can change as the material develops. And then writing for a lower range instrument, you usually have to leave more space for the soloist. For a higher range instrument like a trumpet or alto or soprano, there can be more sustained textures. They can soar above those. So those are some of the things I keep in mind when I'm writing for an ensemble behind a soloist. And hope you've got something from this, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching today's mini lesson. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Drop any questions, comments, or suggestions for future videos in the comment section down below. To watch our full-length events and participate in live Q&As with our presenting artists, head over to jazzcomposerspresent.com. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.